Thanks for joining me. So we're going to give a few minutes here for everybody to log in and get comfortable and get your cup of coffee or your tea or whatever you're drinking. Yeah, here's something. If all of you who are on right now, if you don't mind, if you put in the chat box, hi, Brittany, where you're from. If you want to put down, you're a particular city or state or school district or a business, please do that. Hey, Dana from California. So here's something. If you can hear me, I'm actually using the VB130 built-in microphone system, and it's not right here in front of me. It's actually about 7 feet directly in front of me. However, the microphone is facing outwards this way. So if you can hear me, you meant Sacramento. Okay. And we have Phoenix. Hello, Phoenix. Ethan. All right. I said I'd give a couple of minutes. So a couple of minutes have already gone by. So we'll go ahead and get started. Just real quick again in the chat room. Have you seen or heard anything about the VB130? Again, it's an all-inclusive camera. I'm trying to think of a different word to use because, we're out of that realm of distance learning right now, although it's not to be forgotten because we certainly are going to be using equipment like this to record and to do remote training. So it's a very important piece of equipment. But I just was curious if anybody has actually seen the VB130 or had any type of demonstration on it. And if you could just put yes or no in that chat room, that'll help me out as well. And then I'll jump right into it. I promise you, too, that this is not going to be a long and drawn out demonstration. So it'll be a demonstration on some of the features, the benefits, how the camera works. And if we have a little bit of time left, because I'm going to try to keep on track and end this at 3:30 because I know a lot of you have a lot of things to do today. I'd like to at least step into a little bit of showing you what the PTZ2, it's a PTZ2 software. It's a web-based, so it's an app that you just click on. It's free to download, and then once it launches, it'll give you a lot of different abilities to control the camera manually if you'd like, or to set things up. So I'll be sure to cover that in the demonstration of the actual camera. Let me make sure my other camera's on. Yes. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to use one of my other cameras that I have. It's ceiling mounted. It's our DL30 auto tracking camera. It's a AI, artificial intelligence tracking camera. But I'm going to use that just to show you how and where I have the VB130 mounted. So let me go ahead and change over to that. All right. So let me get myself oriented as well. So right now it's the DL30 and it's pointing down to the camera right here. So this is the VB130. So it's relatively small. It's probably about a foot, 12 inches. And it has a light bar on here. So the light bar is not meant to light up the classroom or anything like that. So the light bar is especially good for if you're in a boardroom or if you're within like 6 feet. You can have it set up to come on automatically, or you could turn it on manually. And it is like an intelligent light bar. And what I mean by an intelligent light bar is that it'll take an account for what the ambiance or room lighting looks like, and it'll adjust for the brightness for that. But again, it's not meant for anything where if I'm walking around in the classroom or if I'm 10, 12, 15 feet away, it's more for something that when you're about 6 feet away. So again, you could turn that on manually or have it come on automatically. The other really neat thing about this light bar up here is that it has a Kelvin color, warmth or cool color light. What I mean by that is if you've heard of daylight and a warm light and things like that, it'll adjust to that. So it's someplace between like 2,700 Kelvin up to, I think it was like 5,600. And that just means the lower the number, the warmer the color is, the higher the number, the not necessarily brighter, but more of a white or daylight looking light. So again, this is how I have it set up. The reason I have it set up this way is a lot of schools that I've been hearing from, they're starting to come back into using their interactive flat panels, and they're trying to figure out, well, how are these cameras going to work whether you use it in a distance or remote learning situation or within a classroom. What's nice is, of course, I'm going to go ahead now and change over to the VB130. Here's the great thing about having multiple cameras. I can just use Zoom or whatever other video conferencing platform and just switch cameras. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and click on this, and we're going to go to my VB130. So here I am with the VB130. So you might be asking yourself, well, why do I need, or what would we do with a camera such as this on our interactive flat panel? Well, the great thing is you can see me. If I had students out here, other than my assistant buddy over here, you would see your classmates, your peers sitting out here. And that makes you feel more like being more than engaged. You're actually immersed because you are now in the classroom participating. So I could talk to the kids over here. You know, you can't just always look at the camera and forget about everybody in the classroom live. But this is another really neat thing about this and Zoom. Hit record. I could go about doing whatever it is, my lesson for the entire day, teach the way I would teach, and it would record everything for me. And now you have a record of that particular assignment or that particular day. Here's something else. What if you have a teacher specialist or just a specialist, history specialist come into the classroom? That specialist is only in town or in your district for one day, but you have multiple classrooms in other schools within your district that would like to participate. There's no better way than to do it than using this particular camera and in this exact situation. Because just like what we have here is we have a chat room set up. You can see me, you can see them, they can see you. Now they can use the chat room or whatever they want, and questions can be asked and answered this way in real time. And again, it is being recorded, so you can go ahead and post that and for other people to see at all other times. I know, isn't that awesome, Scott? So just like, again, I'm looking down here and I see everything, the questions coming in. It's just a matter of getting used to being able to read and see and do things at the same time. So let me now get into some of the features of the VB130. And please feel free, if you do have a question, just put it in the chat room down there and I'll keep an eye on it and I'll try to answer those questions. So let me grab this remote control. 90%, 95% of everything a teacher would want to do is right on this control. Let me correct that. 100% of everything a teacher would want to do can be done from this remote control. So it's a matter of going in there and setting things up if you want to change things. But if you just leave it on the factory default, as soon as you plug it in, it's ready to go. And it's just a matter of plugging in the power and then the USB cable from the VB130 over to your desktop or your laptop. That's it. I have, of course, my interactive flat panel connected to my laptop. So that's another connection, but it all works really good. It's all now touch panel. So as I said, there are some features and some benefits of using a camera such as this. Now, this is an audio tracking camera as opposed to what's up there, which is a video or a tracking camera, which tracks the body and not by voice. So again, just about everything you need to do can be done from the remote control. On the upper right-hand corner of this remote control up here, it lays it out. It says audio tracking. I press and hold that for about, a second. And it's in audio tracking mode now. Well, there you see it. It zooms right into where I'm at. So in audio tracking mode, I can walk around. You see that it tracks. What's going to happen? It's going to go wide. It's going to come back in. That was perfect timing. So what it does is it makes sure that it sees and hears your voice, and then it zooms in and tries to center wherever you're at. So again, if I walk over here, follows me, it'll probably go look that a little wide, comes in, zooms right in, keeps me centered. So its main thing that it does is keeps you centered at all times when you're speaking. So that is one that's really cool on this. So one of the other things that this has is a, press and hold it again, audio frame. So what is the difference between audio frame and audio tracking? Think about it this way. What if I didn't want the camera? to follow and track me. I wanted to just zoom in right where I'm at. So I've got a teacher station someplace. I'm going to walk over there. I'm not saying anything. And then I could begin talking. And as you see, it didn't follow me. It just zoomed right into where I was at. So again, I'm just going to walk over. And I'm over at my other station, and here I am, right here, and it just zooms right in. Right here, I talk, and it just gets me right in. And again, it always does its best to keep you centered into the picture. So there it is. So now we've gone through audio tracking and audio frame. So you can begin to think about how you want to use this audio frame mode, okay? Now there is another mode here. Press and hold this. It's audio preset tracking. So it says load preset 1. Why and how would I use presets? Think of it again as this way. Maybe I want to concentrate on the whiteboard and I don't want it to be so wide or anything like that. I could zoom in and then set that as a preset. So when it hears my voice in that area of the preset, that's exactly what it'll do. It'll just zoom into however much you set up that zoom. I hope that made sense. So I walk over here. So maybe I want to concentrate over here. You see, it said load preset 2. So now it's on preset number 2. Come back, preset number 1. So I'm over here. So there's a number of different presets that you can set up, but you just have to make sure that they are spaced out far enough. So if you have them too close, and if you start talking from one location to the next, it might confuse it, just like what it did just now to me. So again, that's a preset mode, sorry. And press and hold the button again, presentation mode. So presentation mode is similar to the audio tracking and preset. So what I mean by that is, say that I had a preset set up in that area number 1, it'll track me over there like this, and then it'll just zoom into a preset area. I just either use preset mode or audio tracking, and most teachers that I've heard that have used this, that's exactly what they say. Because again, with this presentation mode, you see that sometimes it'll zoom out and zoom in, and it may do that a couple of times. So rather than having that happen, save the students from the zoom in, zoom out. They just like using either the preset or the audio track, or again, the audio frame. Now, here's something else. Audio fence. We've heard oftentimes with manufacturers who create equipment like this that they have a mute or silence or audio fencing mode. And what that means is everything within this frame, the picture frame that you see right now, and you can probably see in your upper right-hand corner, there might be a little icon of a picture of 2 bars and a person, and it looks like some sound signals coming out. But that means that anything outside of the picture frame that you see right now, the audio or the sound is muted. And for most cases, it is actually just completely cut off, so you can't hear anything. So how and why would you use that? Well, how about if you know that there's going to be some construction outside of the classroom and you don't want all that noise coming in and interrupting or interfering or being recorded, you just turn on the audio fence mode. Now, audio fence, you do have 3. That's 3 different size modes. So you have to set that up in advance. I'll go into it a little bit and show you. I'm not going to go too much into this because I don't want it to get too overwhelming. But basically, it allows you to go from a wide mode, which is about 120-degree field of view, to a medium mode, which is about 90, and then to a tighter frame, which is approximately 45-50 degree. And again, anything that you see within the picture is what you're going to hear. Anything outside of this video or the picture, you won't hear that. So that's audio fence. And keep in mind, you can only use one feature at a time. So I'm in audio fence. If I walk outside of this, follow me. And for the most part, if I walk outside of this area, I'm outside, you shouldn't hear me, or to mute it so you can't hear it too loudly. Again, I just press and hold the button in the upper right-hand corner. and now it's completely off. So now I'm at the 120-degree field of view. Just take a look down here to see if there's any questions that's come up. And I like the wows and the awesome. Thank you for that. The VB130 really is a great tool. And the one thing I really want to come across and have you folks know is that it is not just a distance learning presentation or recording tool. It's something that you can use all the time right now to record, to create content. We've all heard content is king. And so that's part of recording and part of using the tools that you have. And to think about it this way too, kids are so used to watching these YouTube videos, and it's not like the day when we were just sitting down and watching a video or oftentimes a lecture where it was just a wide, stagnant shot and you just saw your professor going back and forth in the room, or you had somebody in the back controlling multiple cameras. This is just one camera that has a light bar, that has a speaker system built in. In fact, it has 5 speakers. So those 5 speakers are like a microphone, excuse me, I said speaker, I meant microphone. 5 microphones, and it does what's called like an array system. So it hones in on where it hears the loudest voice. So here I am, it hears me. There could be some chit chat going back here, but I'm talking, it zooms in on me. So you don't really have to worry too much in the classroom, unless the kids are screaming and yelling. Then it might confuse it a little bit, but it just picks up on who is speaking. So that is 5 microphones. So that I got that one straight. Something else on here is on the upper left-hand corner, we have smart frame mode. So this is actually really cool. Now this is great, especially if you're going to use this in a boardroom situation, but you can also use it in the classroom. So let me activate that by pressing and holding for 1 second. And then you're going to see where it says manual frame. That just means I'm going to zoom in and zoom out using my remote control. But that smart frame mode, this is where Buddy's going to be my assistant. He's got his mouth open, but he's not saying anything. So I'm going to press and hold that upper left-hand button, auto framing mode. So you saw that it was wide and then it zoomed in, but it's not zooming in to my voice. What it does is it recognizes a number of people, characters, he's a character, in frame. So there's 2 of us, it's centered us. If there is 4 or 5, let me move over here. I'm further away because I'm doing a social distancing. Look at that. It keeps us centered, the number of people. If there's even more people, you see, it goes out, keeps us centered. So, but what if half the people leave? Well, it's going to take a look and it says, there's only 2 people left. I'm only going to frame those 2 people. So that's how that works. Well, let's see. Scott's got a question. Can the zoom in and zoom out feature be, speeded up a little? Yes, you can actually control the speed of the zoom if you want to. So I will get right into that and show you, because I promise you that I'm not going to make this long and drawn out, and I'll try to keep it at 30 minutes. So are there any other questions? If not, I'll get right into showing you some of these other features that this has. And what I'll have to do is I will have to share my screen, and I'm going to launch the PTZ2 app, and then we'll take a look in there. Looks like we have no questions yet, other than Scott's, so I'll jump right in there. Let me go ahead and hit share screen. And you see, I'm on that audio or the frame mode, and what it did is it says, wait a second, Chuck got closer. So this, again, is what's fantastic. I totally forgot about it. You can forget about it, teach the classroom the way that you would teach the classroom, and that's exactly how it would work. Let me go ahead and get everything off on this. So I'm just going to cycle through and make sure I turned off all my tracking and presentation mode stuff. There it is. Okay. Okay, so let me go ahead and share that screen. So share. And we'll come over, PTZ2. So hopefully right now, you can see I've already pre-launched my PTZ2 app. Now, how I launched the camera is, you can all see on here, there's an icon of a video camera. Right now, if I press that, it won't work. The reason it won't work is because we're using the VB130 right here. So I'm not going to be able to launch that one. But here's what will happen if I try to do it. It tells me can't start video because I have another video that's occupying it. So that's all I wanted you folks to know and to see on that. Let's see, what can we do here? Close out of that. Now, some of the other things within the setting in this, if I was to go to, first of all, let's come up to the little drop down arrow. If I click on that, if you were to ever contact AVer and they ask for the information as far as what the software version, firmware, and all that stuff, it's right here. So it'll let you know immediately what software version, what firmware, and the serial number. So you can give that to the trouble or the tech support department if that's what they need. Okay. And then in settings, I'm going to move my chat room over to the side a little bit. And yes, it does have some interesting features in here. Now, here's where it's going to show you a lot of stuff. Okay. I'm going to, again, you'll see this message right here that says can't start video. That's because we have this up here. And in fact, if I want, I'm going to change that so we can actually use that. Let me step over to my laptop real quick. So now what you see here, the picture, hopefully this is not going to get too confusing because I've got so much going on. This is actually the VB130 that you see within the VB130's app. Okay. So I can have this in this window. I can make it larger if I want. By clicking on that, it gets larger. Or if I want to get out of the full screen, you know, it says hit escape. So let me escape, come back down. These are all the presets that you can set up. So again, using the remote control is the easiest way to set up a preset. All you have to do is use the zoom in, zoom out, the left, right, up and down buttons. Figure out where you want it to be. And then you just press and hold a number, and then it sets it up as a preset. I think it should show up down on the screen that you see within the VB130. So as an example, why don't I just press and hold number 8? And I think you should see where it says save preset 8. That's all you have to do is press and hold that button, and then that's it. So let me go ahead and go over to setting. Now that I'm in setting, and I'm going to turn off this camera. So you're going to see that there's a lot of different features, a lot of things that you could change in here manually. Again, you do not have to go in here and do anything. You could just simply plug it in and it's ready to go in default mode. And everything that you saw was really default in a default mode. The only thing that's not default was of course I set up the presets, but that was it. So you can see here, tracking mode, on, off, manual. Those are all the things that we could do from the remote control. So you don't even have to worry about that stuff. Now, audio frame, audio preset tracking, again, all that is done from the remote control. So there's nothing different there. Now, we did have Scott that asked about the speed of certain things. Now, you see, it says framing speed, tracking idle, and all that. So you could come right in here and you could change that speed. Now, Scott, you had asked, will it go any faster? You see that I have it on the high speed, so no, it won't go any faster. I don't know. It might be, sometimes when it's too fast, when you do the back and forth, we tend to do this. It gives that herky-jerky movement, so that could be one of the reasons. But for me personally, the slow and medium speed are just a little bit too slow and a little bit too medium. So I just like to have it on the high speed. That is another reason why some of the teachers said that they like just having it on the audio frame mode, because they talk, it's right there. They walk over to the next area, whether it be a workstation or something like that, or a science table, then they begin talking. It goes right there immediately. So it doesn't do this follow and do that. So it goes right there. So that's one of the reasons that I've heard that some of the teachers really like using the audio frame mode. This audio tracking idle interval, that just means that if it's not hearing anything, Within 15 seconds, it just goes back to the wide mode. So you can put it up for 50 seconds, 40 seconds, whatever. I just like leaving it at the 15. It's good enough. It's long enough. Audio fence. Okay, so this is that important thing. I talked about that you do have several different modes of the audio fence, and you have to set this up in advance of using it. So take into account 120 degrees field of view is the widest. It's going to capture everything in the classroom. Even 90 degrees for the most part will see most everything in the classroom. If it's a smaller room, say, 15 by 15 or something like that, you can put it on the narrow. So how do we activate, or how do we make this work? You see it says audio fence off, on. You have to click and you have to select which mode you want. Do you want it on the wide, the medium, or the narrow? Once you do that, you can go ahead and off. So now it has been preset. So what does it mean? Now when I hit the button in the upper right-hand corner to go to audio fence, it goes to the narrow mode. If I have preset it up in here as the medium mode, it goes to medium. So you cannot change that from the remote. It has to be done from here. So that's the only thing. Keep that in mind. What we talked here, home position, what is my home position going to be? Last operation point, or factory center, or preset 0. That's that thing where we talked about, the 15-second interval. Where is it going to go? I have it at my last position. You can have the factory center. It's just exactly what it says, center of what the camera would be. Or you could preset or designate preset 0 as the home, which you may want to do if you have your teacher desk in view, or a science experiment desk or podium. You can set that up as your preset 0. And then all you have to do is just select preset 0, and that will be your home position. Okay. On-screen menu on off, I just leave it on. Presets, leave that on, because if you turn it off, if you make a preset and then you turn off the camera and you come back later, your preset's not going to be there. So just leave your presets, save presets on all the time. I'm going to go through the rest of this quite fast because there's a lot of different things that you can see in here. Here's that other thing about the lighting, intelligent lighting. If I was to turn intelligent lighting on, blacks out all that, because what it does when the camera comes on, it determines how bright do I need to be and what color do I want to go. I just leave it on manual. Also, remember user's last lighting setting, yes or no. I just put no because it changes in here often, and I rarely use that lighting. Again, you see a lot of different options throughout here. Turn on the light when the camera is powered on, or turn it on when it streams. Do you want it to turn off automatically? All of that stuff. So again, it's not anything that you have to do, but all of your options are in here. And we're still just in settings, and you see where it goes on and on and on. Wide room or medium, it says depth room. So you do have that option. It's 120 or 90. For most part in the classrooms, I say the 120 is going to be your best bet. So you can always just leave it at that, but it's a preset field of view. So you just set it up in here. Flip image and mirror image and things like that. Why would I want to do that? Well, remember, I've got one of my cameras, which is on the ceiling. If for some reason you mount this on the ceiling, you want to be able to flip it. So that's why you have the option in here, because so this can be ceiling mounted if you want. You see that you can mirror the image. You have what's called true WDR, wide dynamic range. Personally, I leave that off. What it does is it tries to adjust the picture and between the light and the dark, the contrast and all that. Sometimes it looks kind of funny, so I just leave it off. Frequency, 60 hertz, just leave it on that. White balance, auto and manual. So you see that there is so much in here for you to adjust if you want. Noise reduction, brightness, sharpness, saturation, light compensation. I mean, this is the part that I don't want to get you overwhelmed, because there's so much in here. And I've gone over by 2 minutes, so I'm going to wrap this up really quick. So you see everything's here, so much. Thank you, Martin. Martin mentioned about the privacy shutter. So the privacy shutter is actually a manual shutter on the front of the camera, and it's just you pull down that shutter and it'll block out any of the camera view. So that's what the privacy shutter is on there. So it's not automatic, it's a manual. Let me jump down to system. This is just going to give you, the name of the camera, your firmware version. If you want to reset the password, if you want to do firmware updates and things like that, you come right in here, and this is where you're going to find all this stuff here. So you see this. It does have a USB port, which I'm using, and it also has Ethernet. So now I'm going to jump down to audio. We have audio noise suppression. Again, options after options. So it's a very, very simple camera to use, but it allows you to control it pretty much in any way that you want. And what I mean by that, again, is to set things up. One important thing I'd mentioned, it has that 5 microphones, not speakers, 5 microphones built in it, and it's the beam forming microphone. So why do I have an on and off for that? So on the off position, what it does with those 5 microphones, it says I can hear evenly across the entire room. My microphone is picking up everything at an even level. Beam forming means that it is going to seek out that loudest point of view, whoever the speaker is, and that's what I leave it on, and that's what you folks should just leave it on that, because you are the instructor or the presenter, and you want it to hear you, and you don't want it to hear everything else evenly. So that's why I leave that on. Automatic gain just means if I'm talking a little bit too soft, it'll boost that up a little bit. So that's what the auto gain is. Echo cancellation. It's something you've probably seen that in some of these video conferencing. If I'm not wearing a headphone, I don't want your audio bleeding through and echoing and doing all that stuff. And then noise keyboard suppression. You might say, well, why do I need that if I'm out here? Well, again, this camera also works fantastic in a boardroom situation where you have it sitting up there, or you're using it as a webcam by your desk. You don't want to hear this click, 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 click. So you can have that on as well. So again, there's just so much on here. Let me stop this. It is a very good camera. Yes, Martin. Yes. And again, one of the best things about it is the microphone and the speaker system. The speaker is great. You might read some literature where it says it's good for like 16 feet for audio. I've actually gone 22 feet. And it was good. So I think within a standard size classroom, which might be 25 by 30, it should be good. Just keep in mind, the zoom is digital zoom, and it's a 4 times digital zoom. So it's not like you can put it back of a 25 or 30 foot classroom and have it zoom in to the very front of the classroom. So it's not meant for that. This is really great for having it on your interactive flat panel at the front of the classroom. Some schools are putting it in the back of the classroom, but they absolutely understand that it's not a camera that's going to zoom in really close and tight to the person at the front of the classroom. Thank you, Melissa. Yes, I can't speak highly enough about this particular camera, especially when it's used in the right situation and knowing how to use it. It's a fantastic tool. And again, the takeaway here is don't think about this as just a tool to use for remote learning or anything like that. You can use it in everyday classroom situation. You can use it to record and create content. Content is king, and we're never going to not stop using video. So this is something that's really good to use. Gosh, with that being said, that's it. So hopefully everybody enjoyed it. Hopefully everybody got something out of it. And please, if you have any questions, I'm going to type my email address in the chat room, so you have my direct email. Reach out to me if you have any questions. If you want another presentation with some other folks in your school or anything like that, just let me know. So it's just chuck.tuck, T-U-C-K, at AVer.com. So there we go. So that would be my email address to reach out. Again, any comments, positive, negative, are all welcome. I'm here to learn everything and anything and to make things better as well. So Thank you, folks. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Brittany, Martin, Scott, Dana, Donna, Ethan, everyone. Have a great afternoon, and we will see you folks again. So long.